Louise had just been released from prison. 6 years had already left her physically and mentally exhausted. She was the daughter of the richest man in Kyoto. She married her beloved Oscar and moved far away, but she never expected that Oscar would make her take the fall for his lover. That day, Louise was finally released from prison. At the prison gate, only her maid was holding an umbrella, waiting for her. Seeing Louise's haggard appearance, the maid was heartbroken, but Louise had only one thing on her mind. At that moment, a luxury car drove up. Louise's father got out and excitedly grabbed her hand to catch up. Her uncle felt deeply sorry for the suffering Louise had endured over the past 6 years. He planned to hold a grand welcome banquet for her, but Louise said she was going to find Oscar and take her son back. Her father agreed to her request. He went home to prepare for the banquet. Meanwhile, Louise headed to Oscar's house. But as soon as she got out of the car, her son splashed a bucket of cold water on her. Louise knew she hadn't fulfilled her role as a mother for the past 6 years. Her son would be resentful of her, but she was angry that Oscar had distorted the truth, saying she was in prison because of her own wrongdoing. Louise immediately asked Oscar for a divorce. At this moment, Oscar's lover, Morgana, pretended to kneel, begging Louise not to be angry with Oscar because of this. She claimed everything was her fault. Seeing this, her son quickly comforted Morgana. Oscar even demanded that Louise apologize to Morgana. Louise was heartbroken by Oscar's actions. She directly asked Oscar for a divorce. She then turned around, asking her son to leave with her. To her surprise, her son shouted and refused. He then fainted. Louise quickly rushed to check on him, but as soon as she reached the door, Oscar stopped her. He claimed that their son's illness required rest. Louise had no choice but to leave angrily. Oscar pretended to take Louise to see his paintings. He said that during the 6 years Louise was in prison, he had been missing her. Just as Louise was touched by this, Oscar suddenly said he wanted Louise to stay and get along peacefully with Morgana. Louise pushed Oscar away, but Oscar made an excuse, saying that their son couldn't live without Morgana. He said he was only thinking of their son's happiness. He asked Louise not to be so selfish. Louise angrily cursed Oscar, calling him shameless. At that moment, Morgana came in with their son. She said their son wanted to apologize for what had just happened. She asked Oscar to step aside. Once Oscar left, their son took out servant clothes. He criticized Louise for being dirty and told her to go shower and change. Louise was immediately furious, but their son said even if it was servant's clothes, it was still 1,000 times better than Louise's prison clothes. Louise asked her son who had taught him to say that, but he stubbornly refused to admit it. The maid couldn't bear it anymore and slapped Morgana across the face. She blamed Morgana for all of this. Just then, Oscar suddenly appeared. He angrily ordered his bodyguards to punish the maid. Louise desperately pushed Oscar away and protected the maid. Oscar quickly stepped forward, worried that Louise might get hurt. However, Morgana, jealous, deliberately pretended to faint. Their son immediately shouted, telling Oscar to hurry and take Morgana to the hospital, and not to worry about Louise, the villain. Oscar, seeing the situation was urgent, had no choice but to carry Morgana to the hospital. Their son completely ignored Louise and turned to leave. Louise was now completely disappointed in both Oscar and her son. She took the maid to the hospital for treatment alone. To her surprise, Oscar, being a major shareholder of the hospital, actually ordered all the doctors to attend to Morgana's room. Fortunately, the doctors had high moral standards. They insisted on treating the maid, but their son yelled loudly in protest. Then he fainted again from anger. Louise was instantly extremely worried. Soon the doctor informed them both that their son needed a blood transfusion immediately. Louise hurriedly followed the nurse to get a blood test, but the nurse said that Louise's blood type didn't match her son's. Louise was shocked by this. The nurse explained that blood type is inherited from both parents and suggested that Louise ask the father of her son, but Louise knew that Oscar and she shared the same blood type. She immediately went crazy, rushing to find Morgana and question her, but Morgana stubbornly denied everything. She denied swapping Louise's son. Louise had no choice but to call her father. She asked him to help her find out what had really happened, where her real son had gone. But just then, Oscar appeared suddenly. He thought Louise was going to do something to harm Morgana again. He even injected Louise with something, causing her to faint. When Louise woke up again, she heard Morgana downstairs telling the truth. Louise recorded Morgana admitting that she had swapped her son. She then prepared to leave quietly. However, as soon as she took a step, Oscar suddenly noticed her. Louise immediately took out the divorce agreement and demanded that Oscar sign it immediately. Oscar, of course, refused to sign it. He tried to persuade Louise to stay for their son's sake. Just then, Morgana came down the stairs with their son. Seeing that everyone had gathered, Louise immediately played the video she had just recorded. She was determined to show Oscar Morgana's true face. When Oscar and Morgana saw the footage, they both stared wide-eyed in shock.